Okay, welcome. My name is Jill Davey. I'm a teacher with True North Insight, and this is a drop-in meditation class on Zoom that's being shared onto YouTube and possibly onto Dharma Seed, so you can practice with it whenever you're able to. And the topic tonight is fearlessness. And this is inspired by this wonderful book, which I'll share in the links down below. If you're on YouTube, check down below the video. This is a collection of stories. I hope it's not backwards for you. It's good. Thanks so much. It's called The Hidden Lamp, and it's a collection, a big collection, quite a big collection, stories from 25 centuries of awakened women, which is a refreshing and rare thing in the field of Dharma and teachings from the Buddha, which are heavily dominated. It's changing, though. It's totally changing by largely male voices. So this is a beautiful book edited by Florence Caplow, Caplow, and Susan Moon, called The Hidden Lamp. And it's a lot of it is Zen koans and then commentaries from other teachers expounding on them. And they're all really nice, short little entries. And they also then kind of give inquiry or practice questions for you to continue contemplating on some of these themes. And this one is called Dipa Ma's Fearless Daughters. If you have this book, it's on page 141, and so you can check that out if you already have this book. And so Dipa Ma is let me just let this person in and make sure they're muted. Mute. Okay, great, thanks. Okay, so this is another book about Dipa Ma, and Dipa Ma, The Life and Legacy of a Buddhist Master. This is written by Amy Schmidt, CHMIDT. And Dipa Ma was an amazing woman and Dharma teacher, and she's actually was one of the very formative, important teachers for Joseph Goldstein, Sharon Salzberg, Jack Cornfield, amongst many others. They would travel to India to visit Dipa Ma I believe at that time she was in Calcutta, in the heart of Calcutta, in this small apartment. And she's considered an awakened being. And what's amazing about her is that her determination for one thing, but she chose a householder life. Dipa Ma, this name, it's not her birth name. She was born, her birth name was Nanibala Barua, but Dipa Ma means mother of Dipa. So Dipa was her daughter's name. And she studied with and was mentored by I'm forgetting his name. I shouldn't have said it without it being on the tip of my tongue. She experienced a lot of great loss, and then maybe it'll come to me and I'll tell you by the end of the recording who she was taught by. But so this is a sweet book about Dipa Ma, very inspiring. And this story tonight from the hidden lamp is called Dipa Ma's Fearless daughters. And it's the reflection that comes from it is written by Amy Schmidt, who wrote this other book on Dipa. Wow, that was a wordy introduction. So it starts with this short little introduction, just 2 sentences here. Dipa was on an airplane with a woman student, one of her students, and it was very turbulent, and the woman screamed. Dipa was sitting across the aisle and took her hand and held it. Then she whispered, "The daughters of the Buddha are fearless. The daughters of the Buddha are fearless." And Anita then shares her reflection on what this means for her, or her understanding of what it meant. This Amy Schmidt was not able to actually meet Dipa personally, but she felt like she was her spiritual mentor. And after sitting a 3-month retreat at IMS with Joseph and Sharon and Jack in the 80s probably, she asked them at the end of the retreat if anyone was planning to write a book about Dipa, who at that time had only died 2 weeks before that retreat, and they suggested that she write it, so she did. So Amy shares that after hearing this little story about, Dipa comforting and teaching this student on this airplane with the turbulence and saying the daughters of the Buddha are fearless, Amy reflects that wait a minute, the Buddha never had a daughter, as far as we know. He had a son, Rahula, and and so she's wondering, what is Dipa pointing to here? And she's saying it's pointing to something wider, deeper, larger than just a historical fact, saying that all of us belongs to the family of the Dharma, or the teachings. Like, as soon as it's considered that once you're 1 foot on the path means you're on the path. And so this statement also includes that none of us is left out. We're not left out by our gender, nor by time or history. We are all part of this family. And Dipa, didn't define herself as a feminist, but she lived as someone that I would call was a feminist, of really fighting for the place of women in Dharma. And so in this little story that happened, was shared in a reflection from the student of Dipa. She's pointing out the fearlessness that is needed on this path of Dharma. The fearlessness to open to and to know the truth of things, no matter what is happening, no matter what's arising. There's a great courage. I'm just thinking of somebody I met just last night through text and phone calls that just demonstrated immense courage. I'm just feeling really touched by that right now. And Amita goes on here, that whether we're experiencing the turbulence of an airplane, or physical injury, or frustration and fear that can show up in so many forms, we have to cultivate this heart and mind that is unshakable, flappable, steady, equanimous. This is the outcome. It's part of the fruit of the practice is equanimity, this unshakable steadiness in the face of whatever arises. And then Amita shares a personal reflection here that I'll share some of that deepens this teaching. And so Amita says, a few months ago, and at the time of the writing of this, she experienced this lesson on being a fearless daughter or a fearless child of the Buddha. She went out for a solo swim in the ocean in Hawaii, where she was living. We can see where that story is going. And there were some really beautiful fish where she was swimming and became preoccupied with following some of them. And then, unfortunately, she says, I didn't notice until it was too late. We'll come back to that phrase. I didn't notice until it was too late. That she had drifted out further into the ocean, into the current about a mile from the shore. And to make matters worse, the wind had picked up. And so now there was a lot of resistance. And for every stroke she was taking, the whitecaps were pushing her back. She was a far way out and was realizing now she was in shark territory as well. I don't think I would be fearless there. Nope. No, I definitely would not. Maybe I would get to this place that she got to. And so she also experienced this panic, the same as this student of Dipa on the plane. It's just part of our human nature. We have these natural reflexes that happen. And so we wouldn't expect that to not happen. It's just part of being an animal being, a human being, that we have a protective instinct and a natural fear response that might come first. And so this also happened for Amita out in the ocean. And but then the Dharma kicked in, and she said it was as if she could feel the power of the intention of her many years of practice came forward. All the fruit of her years of practice and her intention to awaken, her intention to wake up to the nature of reality, came forward on its own. Well, no, not on its own. It's a conditioned arising. It arose because of her practice, because of her study, because of her intention. It's a conditioned arising. And then she was able to just label the feeling, to note the feeling. Panic. She said, this is panic. And panic is not going to help me. Then she said to herself, don't believe the panic. Don't believe the panic. So just in that moment, that's such a powerful, important moment of just knowing, oh, I'm in something. I'm in anger. I'm in fear. I'm in doubt. I'm in desire, aversion. Just knowing it right then, it's changed. Right then, just in the bare knowing, you already have some space, some perspective, and now some choice. So then in that moment of choice, she was able to guide herself. Just do what you can do. Focus on right now, one thing at a time. And she said to herself, just one kick, one movement of the arm at a time. You can do that. You know, if we think like, this is impossible, I'm doomed out here, I'm not going to get back, I can't do it. If we look at the long journey, it's overwhelming and impossible. And then you think, what's one thing? one movement of the arm, one kick of the legs, one thing I can do right now. What's the one thing? One thing, one thing. Don't worry about anything else. And then she also then concentrated her focus on her body and stayed out of this mind states. Stopped fueling the mind states, the proliferation, the fueling all the doubt and worry and fear, and fully put all of her attention in her body. One movement of the arm, one kick of the legs. And in this way, of course, her system calmed down and she wasn't panicking. She had a lot more inner resilience. And then she would notice that she was gradually making progress, gradually making progress. One breath at a time. I focus, and then also focused on the small amount of forward motion rather than the feeling of being pushed back. And this is another thing we know, that our human nature, we have a negativity bias, and it's so easy to focus on all that isn't being done, all that isn't working right, all that isn't happening how I want. We could go on, and that's a choice. Or we can focus on, oh yeah, one thing. I can do this one thing that's moving in me in the direction of my intention, the direction of liberation, of peace, freedom, wisdom. What's this one thing that's needed right now? Small things, one at a time. And with that focus on this small amount of forward movement, rather than just focusing on it's not enough, through this came very strong resolve. This is called adhitthana in the practice. It means determination, strong resolve. That no matter how long it takes, we're going to keep moving forward. And Amita shares that, whether it's a bumpy flight, a difficult ocean swim, or a turbulent life, the practice is the same. Imagine Dipa Ma sitting across the aisle from you, or sitting beside you right now, reaching out and holding your hand. Wow. Reminding us that we too can be fearless. We're given the chance to meet this moment with openness and fearlessness. It doesn't matter how long it takes or how much the wind pushes us back. If there's a willingness and a resolve, this strong intention, then it's inevitable. If we're always doing this one little thing, what's this one little thing I can do today? And maybe it's just get out of bed. Maybe it's have a shower today. Maybe it's make myself some food or call a friend. What's this one thing that's possible? If we're always doing that, our progress is inevitable. Do you see? The questions they offer in this book, The Hidden Lamp, with this reflection from Dipa Ma's Fearless Daughters, are: when you are afraid, where do you find, they say Buddha, or you could say, where do you find resolve? Where do you find refuge? How do you find fearlessness within fear? That's a beautiful question, because it's saying, how do you find fearlessness within fear? It doesn't, because we don't have the control to banish fear from our hearts and minds and bodies. I've heard so many, particularly male Dharma teachers, I've heard this several times, talk about fear as being a huge obstacle for them at some point in their practice. And I can think of three that I've heard of talk about this, that always trying to figure out how to get rid of fear. And when they realize at some point, you just keep trying. And then it's like, okay, fear's going to be here. How can I be fearless with fear? Fearless within fear. Fearless with the arising and passing of fear. And when that happened, it shifted for them dramatically, and they felt a lot of freedom from being consumed in that as a battle. Yeah. So beautiful inspiration here for our practice tonight. So much wisdom. Let's check it out. Let's practice. Yay. So for this aspect of practicing, if you're here on the Zoom call, if it's better for you to turn away from a computer, feel free. You can turn to a window or turn right away. Feel free to turn your camera off if you prefer that. I find it better for myself to keep my camera on because it kind of keeps me accountable. But you do what is best for you. You can practice laying down. Of course, these are practices of awakening. And so if you're laying down, it's really helpful to lift up your forearm so that you feel that fall if you're falling asleep, and it'll help you begin again. Or you could bend your knees and have your knees upright, and then, but not resting together, so that the knees will fall in or out and wake you up again. You could also practice standing if you're feeling really tired. If you're sitting, try to find a posture that is upright and supported. I'm going to grab a little pillow here to tuck behind my low back while I'm saying that, so that I feel a little more upright. I like to tuck a pillow right down at the back of the hips so that I'm not leaning back into the chair. So see what posture is most supportive for you to be awake and at ease. A posture that invites stillness. You allow yourself this time to adjust and get any other supports you need so that you're as comfortable as you can be, so that you can become still. Stillness is very helpful for the settling of our heart, mind, body, energy, awareness. And through that process of settling from stillness, clarity is more likely to arise. Once you've come into the posture for your practice, see what posture for your eyes is most helpful for you, whether that's closing your eyes, resting your eyes in a soft, unfocused gaze around in your room or out a window, or with the eyes looking downward just slightly open. You can try each of those on and see what is most helpful for you. And by helpful, perhaps what we're looking for is calm wakefulness. As the body and the eyes find their posture, we'll just check into the musculature of the face. We'll see if there's any tension here that can release. Perhaps widening the forehead. Eyes dropping back. Lower jaw feeling its weight. Letting go of outward expression that's meant to defend us or to please others. Just letting the face relax. The sides and back of the neck lengthen as the weight of the shoulder bones slide down. The weight of the shoulders slides down towards the elbows, underneath the shoulders, and then into the hands resting, wherever feels comfortable for you. An important touchstone of the practice of fearlessness might begin here in the belly with soft belly, as if you could feel the inner layers and layers and layers of the belly, and see if to some degree some of those inner layers of the belly could soften. You might be surprised to notice how much holding is there. And this is part of our adrenal system's fight or flight response, is this tightness in the belly. It can also be part of trying to make ourselves smaller in this world. Let's hang out here for a few more moments and see if there can be some more softening of belly. So that as the face, shoulders, belly soften, we then feel more weightedness through the pelvis, hips, and legs. Grounded, supported, resting. And if you're practicing reclining, you could feel that sense of ground through the whole back body. It's important in meditation not to hurry through these arriving, relaxing, grounding beginning of our practice. So take your time here in these next few minutes. I'm going to be silent and we'll all practice together, just simply relaxing, arriving, grounding. You're presencing yourself in the center of your life, the center of this moment. Here, now, in the midst of this turbulence, in the midst of this ocean, in the midst of this life. And then invite in, who would you like to be sitting across the aisle from you, reaching their hand out to hold your hand, lending you their support and their fearlessness. Perhaps it's Dipa or someone else. Each one of us belongs to this family. No one is left out. And you've already shown a fearlessness just by being here, showing up for yourself in this way that is the antithesis of our society and culture. The fearlessness to meet yourself in silence and stillness. When you are afraid, where do you find awakening? Where do you find refuge, safe harbor? Where do you find courage? Just like Amita, we invite in now our determination, our resolve, one moment at a time, one breath at a time. Meeting each breath now as if it's a movement of your arm in the middle of the ocean or a kick of the legs. That much determination to pay attention to each breath. If there's a lot of sleepiness for you tonight or whenever you're practicing, it might be helpful to practice with eyes open or standing meditation. You could even do a small walking back and forth. It's okay to change your practice if it's needed. This is your willingness to not give up. And as Amita did in the ocean, the determination to concentrate our focus on the body, not so much on the mind and the stories of the mind, feeling the body right here, right now, and each breath as it comes and goes like a wave. If we practice in this way, each moment, doing this one thing, strong determination, awake to this moment, then we're moving forward. And it's inevitable that each of us will find lasting freedom. Amita said with her child of the Buddha mind, just do what you can do, stay focused on right now, one thing at a time, one breath at a time. Recommit to awakening. This fearless willingness to face this moment right now without fear or argument. It's like this. Life and death are of supreme importance. Time passes quickly and opportunity is lost. Let us awaken. Awaken. I will not squander my life. So for those that have joined the practice on YouTube, check the link down below and there'll be links to these books and also links to offer support to myself in the continuation of these offerings of Dharma and practice if you're able to. Thanks for joining us. Right.